Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Tom Johnson begins now.
Good evening. Tasmanians living with a disability are growing more and more frustrated with the lack of access to wheelchair taxis, with some locals forced to wait for hours out in the cold.
Launceston's wheelchair population let down, facing agonising waits.
Feels like hours, feels like forever.
Often waiting 45 minutes to 2 hours for their permanent booking.
Forget about COVID issues, we'll get sick because we're sitting out there waiting for a taxi.
The problem growing in the past few months.
We had a really reliable taxi service ability when they were running.
But that ceased operation earlier this year, leaving less than a handful of wheelchair accessible taxis to pick up the slack. The community now losing their sense of independence.
I'm absolutely scared of next Monday when I have to use a taxi. I'm scared that it's not going to turn up.
A recent powered chair purchase gave Minna more freedom, but that doesn't fit easily in a normal car, meaning she needs to be able to get a taxi or rely on people to push her other chair.
I can't just pick her up and take her. If she wants to go to her sport, she wants to go in a power chair, a full power chair, and you need a maxi taxi for that. So it kind of undermines your confidence.
We want to go out, we want a life. Like everyone else, we want to live and go out. But because of the taxi service, we can't trust it. So we have to hide out and be excluded. It's not inclusion, it's excluding.
And she's not alone.
It is a problem everywhere. We've certainly seen there's a big need in the northwest. There is just not enough services down there. But certainly here, every one of our athletes that is in a wheelchair has been impacted.
The taxi companies say a state government grant helped with the costs associated with gaining a public vehicle licence, but claim it only supported 20% of the immediate numbers required.
It's not just a fix that you can do in one day. It needs a lot of time and resources put into it.
I'd like a taxi service to form in Launceston that was specifically for people in wheelchairs. We have, throughout Australia, so many people in wheelchairs or who would prefer to go in a maxi taxi because it's easier for them to get in and out of.
A state government spokesperson says the Infrastructure Minister has met with representatives and says they're prepared to take further action if the unsatisfactory situation does not improve.
I feel more disabled than ever.
Another issue with no simple solution. Talia Jordan, 7 Tasmania News.
A well-loved New Norfolk cafe has been gutted by fire after an inferno swept through the building. 2 other local businesses were also hit hard by the arson attack, forced to close their doors while the major clean-up begins. Grace Evans has the details.
Penny Wollner started her business venture here at Circle Coffee House 3.5 years ago. But she could barely believe what she was seeing when arriving to find all of the hard work fully alight. Sweet treats were the only thing intact inside the burnt-out building. This was the aftermath of a brazen act carried out in daylight. Penny returned to the scene this morning to assess what was left.
It looks as though the fire has been deliberately lit, possibly from outside. It's made its way into the building and destroyed it from there.
An adjacent physio also left reeling by the fire, which broke out shortly after 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Heat and smoke damage are expected to impact their operations as police ramp up the hunt to find those responsible.
We have some information and a particular line of inquiry that we're following at the minute. Someone's just decided to do something rather silly, but unfortunately the outcome of those actions has caused significant damage to the business.
The vicinity of Circle and High Street is of focus for investigators, but locals are urged to check their own backyards.
If they do run a business or they have a house with CCTV, please have a look at it. It may be a very small piece of information, but that may be what we need to get on top of this case.
Messages of support have poured in from the wider community for the popular cafe as the reality to rebuild sinks in.
5 children have been injured in an ATV crash in the state's northwest. Emergency services were called to the Maguires Road property at Nabagina just after 1 p.m. on Saturday. The driver was taken by helicopter to the Launceston General Hospital. She has a serious leg injury. The other children were also taken to hospital for treatment. It's understood the driver hit uneven ground, causing a passenger's foot to hit the pedals, lose control and roll, landing on the driver's leg. The children were wearing seatbelts. Police are searching for 2 carjackers after an incident at Trevellyn yesterday. A 27-year-old was sitting in his 2002 Nissan Patrol at Freelands Reserve when a vehicle blocked his car in. Police say 2 men approached and struck him through the window. Both were armed. The man was further assaulted before one got into the vehicle and drove off, followed by the other vehicle. One of the offenders is described as having face tattoos, driving a green Magna. The Firefighters Union is disappointed career firefighters weren't invited to the Hawks match at UTES Stadium, which thanked emergency services. They rallied outside, convincing footy fans to sign a petition for better pay and conditions.
We think it's pretty disrespectful that the government isn't even affording firefighters the respect of listening to us. They've walked away from the negotiating table yet again.
The state government is disappointed the firefighters chose today to make their demands known.
They're entitled to take their own action and to protest, of course, but the spirit of today was to say thank you to our workforce.
The union says volunteer firefighters were invited inside instead. Negotiations have entered 12 months of gridlock. Meanwhile, Tasmanian Hawks fans have gathered for what could possibly be the final home game in Launceston. With talks of a 19th licence for the state government is yet to commit for more games in the Apple Isle. But one thing is for sure, those there today want more footy.
It's a bittersweet moment for Hawks fans in Tasmania. This could be the last time an army of yellow and brown march on York Park for a home game.
I won't be too happy about that, but at the end of the day, it's going to be what it's going to be, isn't it?
How that pans out, it's been a good relationship, so it'll be a shame if it doesn't continue. There's been plenty of good memories in this stadium.
Hopefully the Hawks can get a win here in Tassie and they sign on for a few more years and we'll go from there.
Hawthorn took on the Western Bulldogs this afternoon, the last of 4 home games at UTAS Stadium, as part of their deal with the state government. Club Board President Jeff Kennett tight-lipped on what the future plans are if talks for a 19th licence fall through. Mr Kennett told 7 Tasmanian News he's waiting on presentations from the AFL and the Tasmanian government before making a decision on whether the Hawks will still play games in the States. A deal renewal is dependent on the AFL's decision on granting Tasmania the 19th licence. The verdict set to be made by the end of this month, with negotiations for a new stadium conducted separately from the licence bid. There was high support from Hawks fans for Tasmania to receive their own club, even if it means watching their beloved side as the away team.
It'd be nice to see a side in Tassie and like everyone's supporting a Tassie side.
It'd be disappointing if they don't get the opportunity to have their own side.
They had a lot of good players over the years come from Tasmania, so yes, I think they do deserve a team.
Fans of red, white and blue also making their presence known at UTAS Stadium. For the Bulldogs, it was a crucial matchup, making or breaking their finals chances. Mark Zita, 7 Tasmanian News.
More than 500 competitors from across the country have descended on Devonport for the 52nd Australian Indoor Bias Bowls Championships. 215 of the bowlers are Tasmanians, vying for the 12 national titles. The state government supporting the event, providing $10,000 through grants.
We're really proud to support this event, and it's really great for our region on a whole lot of different levels.
The government hopes those taking part will see the sights of Tasmania during the 5 days of competition. Tasmania's cost of living is making headlines yet again as the state's major political parties deliberate a cap on energy prices. Labor says with Tasmanians facing a 12% increase, it's disappointing the Premier rejected a strategy to contain those figures.
The government has walked away from its own policy from only a few years ago to cap energy prices at 2.5%. This is a government that does not care about the cost of living and the impact that's having on everyday Tasmanians.
But the government says its actions are measured and forward-thinking.
What we don't want to do is take action that prevents us from developing a really important future earner for our economy in being an exporter of renewable energy.
The debate will continue to unfold in Parliament this week, with climate change and transgender inclusion in sport also up for discussion. Wine connoisseurs have poured into the Good Shed to sample some of the state's top drops. The Tas Wine Fest was held in 3 sessions. with local food, live entertainment and masterclasses making it a weekend to remember. This marks the first winter instalment of the event and organisers have deemed it a success. In local footy, Burnie has survived its elimination final against La Trobe in front of a vocal home crowd at West Park in the North West Football League. The Dockers booted 6 goals in the final quarter while keeping the Demons scoreless to race away to a 55-point win. The final scoreline, Burnie 12-10-82, La Trobe 4-3-27. Burnie will now play Penguin in the knockout semi-final at Penguin next Sunday, while Devonport will play Wynyard on Saturday, the winner to go straight through to the grand final. In the NTFA, the blood rule was invoked early in South Launceston's elimination final against Scottsdale. Lockie Cocker forced to spend some time on the bench. Despite being a man down, the Bulldogs were on fire, booting the opener, courtesy of Jordan Tepper. Dan Berry responded for the Magpies, kicking their first for the afternoon, and Berry backed up soon after, with this monster from 50 sending fans into raptures. In the end, South Launceston steadied to record a 28-point win. The final score 71-43. It's season over for Scottsdale, while South goes on to play Bracknell in the semi-final. Rocherlea is up against Longford. And showman Jared Bairstow and Sam McDaniel turned it on in front of a home crowd to help the Hobart Chargers secure their spot in the NBL1 preliminary final. The regular season minor premier proved too strong for the Sandringham Sabres out on the court, taking out the win by 18 points at the final buzzer. While the Launceston Tornadoes have kept their championship chances alive with a 12-point elimination final victory on the road, upsetting the Geelong Supercats. Great news.
Good evening. 13 in Hobart today, 12 across Burnie and Devonport, Launceston 11, Strahan and St Helens 11, Flinders Island 12 and 13 about Smithton. On the close-up, mid to high-level cloud is moving over the state from the northwest. Further out, a mid to high-level cloud band extends from just off southwestern coast of WA to the southern coast of Tasmania. Tomorrow shows a cold front sitting over South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania. North to northwesterly winds tomorrow 25 to 35 knots, swells up to 5 metres in the west and south and up to 1 metre in the north. A severe weather warning for damaging winds is current for the East Coast, Northwest Coast, Central North and Midlands forecast districts. A gale warning for the West Coast, Central North Coast, Banks Strait, Franklin Sound, Flinders Island and the East Coast. A strong wind warning for the Central Plateau, Lakes, Southwest Lakes and the East Coast. A flood warning for the Macquarie, Meander, North Esk and South Esk rivers and a bushwalkers weather alert for the Western and Central Plateau forecast districts. Tomorrow's forecast now: Hobart, showers easing, Dover 12-11 in Ouse. In the north, Launceston and Devonport 13, rain easing later on in Scottsdale. Burnie and Strahan tomorrow 13, rain and wind easing in Stanley. Showers across St Helens and Swansea and 12 in Ross. Looking ahead to the 3-day forecast now. Tuesday, showers about the west, south and central areas. Wednesday, patchy morning frost with showers about the west and far south. And Thursday, showers across the west, south and central areas. Capital cities, 17 and mostly sunny in Perth tomorrow. Rain in Melbourne and 34 in Broome. And currently Hobart 11 and mostly cloudy, Launceston 8 and Devonport 11 and cloudy. That's all in weather tonight, Tom.
Thank you once again, Jackie, and that's all from the team here tonight. Kim Miller's back from holidays and returns to the desk tomorrow. Thanks for your company. Good night.